everybody, welcome to Lord of the Reads. In today's video, we're going to be doing my August TBingoR. I'm very excited for this month's reading. I've got lots of stuff that I'd like to try to get to, got some series that I'd like to continue, some fun middle grade that I'd like to get in. So, I've got lots of stuff. Let's go ahead and go over read-alongs and readathons that I'm going to be participating in August. So, as far as readathons go, I only have one that I'm kind of thinking about participating in, and that would be the Polarthon Meltdown, hosted by Jade at JD Ray Reads. I'll link the announcements video in the description below so you can get all the details if you're interested. But since that's only a 36-hour readathon, it won't affect my reading too much, so I'm not going to go ahead and pick my books now, because I still have to look at some of the prompts and figure out what'll fit and what won't, and it'll have to be more thought put into it than that. So I'm going to wait and do that closer to time. As far as read-alongs, I only have one also. That would be Graceling Along, hosted by Ashley at A Frolic Through Fiction. We read the first book, Graceling, in July, and we're going to be reading Fire in August, so it'd be nice to put that on here, but we'll see. I'm going to hope, but if not, then it'll just be added onto the 6 books that I pick. Let me go ahead and tell you how my July reading went. So, this was my July TBR, including Crooked Kingdoms and Kingdom of the Wicked. And I am going to say that I completed it all. I completed everything besides the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I'm 200 pages into. And I'm filming this on the last day of July, but since I started it, I only count it as a loss if I haven't started the book. But I started it, so we're going to go into this with no punishments, which is very exciting. And yes, I think that gets all the information out of the way. Now we can go ahead and go into me putting the piece on free space for a book of my choice. So if you don't know how I play this game, then I will link the playlist in the description so that you can familiarize yourself with the rules. And now that we have that out of the way, we can go ahead and put the chip on the free space for the book of my choice. So, for book of my choice, we're going to do King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. I'm super excited to read this book. This one is one that I'm very urgent to move on to because I really want to, and my library needs it back. So, this will be the first book that I read this month. Leigh Bardugo, in general, this is a book in the Grishaverse. This is the first book in the 3rd series. So, the first series follows a girl, and she grows up in this world where people can harness certain elements and use them, and she finds out that she has a very rare ability. And the second series, we follow a group of thugs in the same world, and they have to go on a suicide mission. But I love the Grishaverse, everything about it, the magic system, the characters. This follows Nikolai, who is my favorite character in the Grishaverse. He's so good. I think we follow 3 perspectives, I believe. I could be completely wrong, but I think we follow 3 perspectives, primarily Nikolai though, which I'm super excited for. He's my favorite character. So, very excited for this to be the first book on my August TBR. Okay, first spin. It is I-26. I-26 is not on our board, so we're going to pick a random prompt with no specific genre. And it is secondhand, so a book that I received secondhand. We got a secondhand book. So, I had really one choice because I pretty much narrowed down the books that I owned. that I wanted to read besides one book. And this is a book that I got secondhand. It says Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. So, I've seen the movie of this book, the movie that was based off this book, and we follow a boy whose grandfather has told him stories about peculiar children and friends that he had that were peculiar children. And when something mysteriously happens to his grandfather, he goes in search to see if there was any truth behind all those stories, and he ends up meeting people, and it's supposed to be a lot of fun. So, I'm very excited about this book. I did get it secondhand from a local thrift store. Very excited about this. I can't wait. I've heard amazing things. I've heard some people say that this is their favorite book, so I have high expectations, and definitely very excited. Second spin. It is I-25. I-25 is also not on the board, so another random prompt with no specific genre, and it is one-word title. Now we have one-word title, and this seems like the perfect chance to get on my read-along book for this month, and that is Fire by Kristen Kishore. So, one-word title, and I read Graceling in July, and it was a 2-star. It was not a book that I enjoyed. However, I've heard that the story picks up, and we're going to try this one and see if I like it. But this book follows, or the first book, follows a girl, and she lives in a world where everything is split up into 7 kingdoms ruled by 7 kings. And in this world, people can be born with something called a grace, which is like a special skill. And the girl that the book follows has the grace of killing. So, she is like kind of the assassin for the kingdom that she lives in. I don't know. This book is not a direct continuation. I think the third book is a direct continuation of the first book, and this is like a companion. So, very excited about this, because I've heard that it picks up and that it's really good. So, this will be the third book on my August TBR. Third spin. B1. So B1 is on the board. So we're going to put a chip on, and it is in the third row. So we're going to pick out of the third row. And it is a yellow cover, but it has to be paranormal, horror, that type of thing, because it is a B. So, yellow cover. For this, I'm going to do City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. This has yellow on the dress, just yellow elements on the cover. I'm very excited for this. This kind of fits the prompt for horror, because it was a B, it had to be horror. So, this is kind of like horror paranormal. Kind of. It's a bit of a stretch, but yes, very excited for this one. This is the 4th book in the Mortal Instrument series. And the first book follows a girl, and she lives in a world where there are demons and there are angels and warlocks and vampires and werewolves. And the angels created shadow hunters that will go and get rid of the demons so that the mundane people that can't see any of these magical elements can live in peace. And she, the girl that the first book follows, doesn't know about any of this. And then she finds out that she may or may not be one of them. She doesn't know, and nobody else really knows either. And there are all kinds of fun adventures and lots of interesting things that happen. After reading the 3rd book in June, I was really wanting to get to this. Could not put it on my July TBR. Didn't have, the right prompts for that. But it's going to go on my August TBR, which I'm very excited about. This should be a really good book. fourth spin. It is B15. B15 is also on the board. So, going to put the piece there. And then this is the fourth row. So another horror, paranormal mystery that is mythology inspired. Okay, so a paranormal, horror-ish book that's mythology inspired. This is a bit of a stretch. But I looked through all the books that I had that were mythology inspired, and I couldn't really find one that were... I couldn't find any that were like horror or paranormal. So I have The Mark of Athena by Rick Riordan, which is the third book in the... the Heroes of Olympus series. I don't know if people would consider this paranormal. I don't think it's horror. But I don't know if you can even consider it mystery. But it's like, it's the closest thing that I could find that fit any of the props. So, this is what we're going to work with. This follows quite a few people. The first book had like 3 perspectives. The second book had another 3 perspectives. So, I think in this book is when they all like meet up. So, I'm very excited about that. But this is like a continuation series of Percy Jackson. Percy Jackson follows children of the Greek gods. This series follows children of the Roman gods, but it's all set in the same world, so there are quite a few crossovers between the worlds. Like direct crossovers. It's directly... There are lots of characters that you'll meet that were from Camp Half-Blood, and like all that is directly in this series. So definitely a fun series. I loved both The Lost Hero and The Son of Neptune. This is the third book, and I'm very excited to see all these characters meet up. I can't wait. I've heard amazing things about this book, and how this book had like some of the biggest twists and like some of the biggest plot elements. So I'm definitely really excited for this as the 5th book on my August TBR. And our 5th and final spin. It is I-27. I-27 is not on the board, so random prompt, no specific genre, a comforting book. And lastly, we have a comfort read. So this is the second book in a series. I have not read it yet. However, the first book was just super cute and adorable, and I loved it. And it was definitely a fun and comforting read. So I'm going to pick the second book in the series and hope that it's just as comforting. And that would be the second book in the Land of Stories, which is called The Enchantress. The Enchantress Returns by Chris Colfer. The cover is amazing for this book. The first book follows 2 children, 2 twins, Alex and Connor, and they get gifted their grandmother's book of stories, and they fall into it, and it transports them to a world within the book where all the fairy tales are put together into like this weird mesh of all kinds of magic and fantasy, and they have like all the fairy tales, but there's twists and there are different like political things. But first book was definitely fun, and I've been holding this one off just because I haven't really been in the mood for a lot of middle grade. But I'm now in the mood to continue with some, and I think this is the perfect place to do it because the first book was just so fun. And I really think I'm going to enjoy this. So, this will be the last book on my August TBR. So, this is going to be all of my August TBR, which it looks pretty manageable. We'll see how I do next month. I'm really hoping I can get to it all because, like, I'm excited for all of this. So, I think it'll be a fun time. We'll see if I can complete it all, but I think I should be able to. And, yeah, that will be all for this video. I really hope that you enjoyed. Please let me know what you're excited to get to in August, and with that, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!